So we have 3/10 plus 5/8. Let's pretend for a moment that the problem is actually 3/10 plus 5/10. So if that was the case, and it was 3/10 plus 5/10, we notice that they have common denominators. We don't have to do anything at this point except for add our numerators. So 3 plus 5 is 8, and our denominators stay the same, 10 and 10. So it just stays as 10. One of the really common mistakes is that students would say that the answer to this question is 8 over 20, because what they did is add the two tens together. That is incorrect. Remember, we do not add the denominators. So we're going to look specifically at the problem 3 over 10 plus 5 over 8. So 3/10 plus 5/8. I'm going to go ahead and solve this. I look at the smaller fraction, the smaller denominator first. In this case, the smaller denominator is 8. I always ask myself the question, is there anything I can multiply 8 by to give me 10? That's a whole number. I can't. So I'm going to look at 8 and 10 and decide that my common denominator is going to be 80. In order to do that, I know I'm going to have to multiply 8 by 10. So because I multiplied the denominator by 10, I also have to multiply the numerator by 10. I'm going to do the same thing with 3/10. To get 10 to 80, I have to multiply this by 8, and I'm going to multiply the 3 by 8 as well. So now I'm just going to multiply through. 3 by 8 is 24. 10 multiplied by 8 is 80. 5 multiplied by 10 is 50. And 8 multiplied by 10 is 80. When I add these together, 24 plus 50, that gives me 74. And I have 80 as my denominator. Remember, I do not add the 80s together. I end up with 74 over 80. I look at this and I should realize that 74 over 80 is not in lowest terms. 74 is an even number, so is 80. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to be dividing through by 2. When I divide through by 2, I end up with 37 over 40. I can't reduce 37 over 40 further, so that is my final answer, 37 over 40. The next one I'm looking at here is 3 over 4 subtract 2 over 5. So again, I'm going to look at the 3 over 4. That's my smaller denominator. I can't multiply 4 by anything to give me 5, but what I realize is that 4 and 5, a really good common denominator in this case, would be 20. So I'm going to multiply through here. 4 would be multiplied by 5, which means that 3 is multiplied by 5. 5 would be multiplied by 4 in order to get 20, and 2 has to also be multiplied by 4. So my new fraction that I end up with here is 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. 4 multiplied by 5 is 20. 2 multiplied by 4 is 8, and 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. Common denominators, I know that I am going to end up with a denominator of 20. 15 subtract 8 is going to give me 7. I end up with 7 over 20. There's no common number that I can divide through, so I know that 7 over 20 is in lowest terms. So just having a look here, we are going to be talking about adding and subtracting fractions. So as it says in our note, before adding or subtracting fractions, we must express each fraction with the same denominator. So this is something that's really important for you to think about. Every single time that you're looking to add or subtract a fraction, they must have the same denominator. The next piece we're looking at is that when fractions have the same denominator, we add or subtract the numerator, and the denominator stays the same. This is a really common error that students make when they are solving questions with adding and subtracting fractions, is they often will add or subtract the denominator as well, which is something that they are not supposed to do. So the two questions that we are going to look at, the first one is 3/10 plus 5/8, and the second one is 3/4 subtract 2/5.